Nestled on the eastern shores of the Mediterranean Sea, the land now known as Israel and the Palestinian territories has been a crossroads of civilizations for millennia. This region, with its rich and diverse history, has seen the rise and fall of empires, the birth of major religions, and the migration of countless peoples. Its strategic location has made it a coveted prize for conquerors and a melting pot of cultures. Revered by Jews, Christians, and Muslims, it holds immense religious and historical significance. The Western Wall, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque are not just places of worship, but symbols of faith, identity, and heritage for millions around the world. These sacred sites draw pilgrims and tourists alike, each seeking a connection to their spiritual roots. Yet this tiny sliver of land is also the battleground for one of the world's most enduring and emotionally charged conflicts. The streets of Gaza and the West Bank often echo with the sounds of protests and clashes, a stark contrast to the serene religious sites. The conflict has left deep scars on both societies, affecting generations and shaping the political landscape of the region. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a complex tapestry woven from competing claims, historical grievances, and political deadlocks. From the Balfour Declaration to the establishment of the State of Israel, from the Nakba to the Six-Day War, each event has added layers of complexity and emotion. Political leaders on both sides have struggled to find common ground, often hindered by deep-seated mistrust and external influences. To understand this conflict, we must delve into its historical roots, explore the perspectives of both sides, and examine the international community's role in seeking a peaceful resolution. The ancient city of Jerusalem, with its contested holy sites, stands at the heart of the conflict. International efforts, from the United Nations to various peace accords, have sought to mediate and propose solutions, yet a lasting peace remains elusive. This is a story of two peoples with intertwined destinies. Despite the conflict, there are moments of hope and cooperation. Families on both sides share similar dreams and aspirations for a peaceful future. Joint peace groups and cultural exchanges highlight the potential for understanding and reconciliation, showing that common ground can be found even in the most divided of places. Both Israelis and Palestinians call this land home and have legitimate claims and aspirations. In the bustling streets of Tel Aviv and the vibrant markets of Ramallah, daily life continues amidst the backdrop of conflict. Children play, families gather, and communities thrive, each side holding on to their hopes for a better tomorrow. Their narratives, though often conflicting, are essential to understanding the depth and complexity of the conflict. Personal stories from both Israelis and Palestinians reveal the human side of the struggle, offering insights into their fears, hopes, and experiences. These narratives challenge us to look beyond the headlines and statistics, to see the individuals affected by the conflict. This essay aims to provide a balanced and informative overview of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, highlighting key historical events, perspectives, and ongoing challenges. From the Oslo Accords to the current peace talks, each step in the peace process has been fraught with difficulties and setbacks. Checkpoints, security barriers, and ongoing violence continue to pose significant challenges to peace and stability. It is not about choosing sides, but about fostering understanding and encouraging dialogue. By exploring the history, listening to the voices of those affected, and recognizing the efforts towards peace, we can contribute to a more informed and empathetic perspective. This journey through the past and present of Israel and Palestine is a call to look beyond division and towards a future where coexistence and mutual respect are possible. The roots of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict run deep, entangled in ancient history, religious beliefs, and competing claims to the same land. This land, known to many as the Holy Land, has been a focal point of human civilization for millennia. Its significance is not only historical, but also deeply spiritual, drawing the attention and devotion of multiple faiths and cultures over the centuries. For Jews, the land holds biblical significance as the ancient land of Israel, promised by God to Abraham and his descendants. This promise is a cornerstone of Jewish faith and identity, deeply embedded in their religious texts and traditions. The Western Wall, a remnant of the Second Temple, stands as a powerful symbol of this enduring connection. It is the site of their ancient kingdoms, the birthplace of their faith, and the land to which they were exiled and yearned to return for centuries. The ruins of these ancient kingdoms scattered across the landscape tell stories of a vibrant and resilient people. Jewish pilgrims from around the world visit these sacred sites, reinforcing their spiritual and historical ties to the land. This yearning, known as Zionism, evolved into a political movement in the late 19th century, advocating for the establishment of a Jewish state in their ancestral homeland, then under Ottoman rule. Zionism was fueled by a desire for self-determination and a safe haven from persecution, particularly in Europe. The movement gained momentum, leading to waves of Jewish immigration to Palestine. For Palestinians, this land is their ancestral home, inhabited by their families for generations. Their connection to the land is not only historical but also deeply personal, rooted in the daily lives and traditions of their communities. The villages and landscapes of Palestine are imbued with memories and stories passed down through the ages. They identify as the descendants of the ancient Philistines and other groups that have lived in the region for centuries. This rich tapestry of history is reflected in their cultural heritage, from traditional attire to ancient artifacts. Archaeological sites across Palestine reveal layers of civilizations that have contributed to the region's diverse and complex identity. Their narrative is rooted in continuous presence, cultural heritage, and a deep connection to the land they cultivate. Palestinian farmers have worked the land for generations, their agricultural practices intertwined with the rhythms of the seasons. Traditional markets and cultural festivals celebrate this enduring bond, showcasing the vibrant and resilient spirit of the Palestinian people. The arrival of Zionist immigrants and the subsequent establishment of Israel led to displacement, dispossession, and a struggle for self-determination. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War marked a turning point, resulting in the creation of the State of Israel and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. This period, known as the Nakba, or catastrophe in Arabic, remains a deeply traumatic and defining moment in Palestinian history. The conflict, therefore, is not merely a territorial dispute, but a clash of two national movements, each with a profound and emotional connection to the same land. Over the decades, numerous attempts at peace talks and negotiations have been made, yet the path to a lasting resolution remains elusive. Protests and demonstrations continue to reflect the deep-seated grievances and aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians, highlighting the urgent need for a just and sustainable solution. The year 1948 marked a pivotal moment in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Following the horrors of the Holocaust, international sympathy for the Jewish people grew, leading to the United Nations' decision to partition Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab. This partition plan, however, was met with resistance from Arab leaders and was never fully implemented. As the British mandate for Palestine ended, David Ben-Gurion declared the establishment of the State of Israel, triggering the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. The war resulted in a decisive victory for Israel, which expanded its territory beyond the UN-designated borders. Over 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes, becoming refugees in neighboring Arab countries. This event, known as the Nakba, catastrophe in Palestinian history, remains a deeply traumatic experience, shaping their collective memory and fueling their struggle for the right of return. The 1948 war not only redrew the map of the region, but also sowed the seeds of future conflicts and enduring animosity. Section 4. Wars and Intifadas, Cycles of Violence. The decades following 1948 witnessed a series of wars and uprisings that further entrenched the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Each conflict left deep scars and further complicated the path to peace. The 1967 Six-Day War resulted in Israel's capture of the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. This war dramatically altered the geopolitical landscape of the region. This victory, while solidifying Israel's security, also led to the military occupation of Palestinian territories, creating new layers of complexity. The occupation brought about daily hardships for Palestinians, including restricted movement and economic challenges. The Palestinian struggle for self-determination took various forms, including armed resistance by groups like the Palestine Liberation Organization, or PLO, and later Hamas. These groups emerged as significant players in the ongoing conflict, each with its own vision for the future of Palestine. In the late 1980s, the First Intifada, a Palestinian uprising characterized by civil disobedience and armed resistance, erupted in the occupied territories. This grassroots movement saw widespread participation from Palestinian society, from youths to elders. This uprising, while brutally suppressed by Israel, brought the Palestinian issue back to international attention and paved the way for the Oslo Accords in the 1990s. The Intifada highlighted the deep-seated frustrations and aspirations of the Palestinian people. The Oslo Accords, a series of agreements between Israel and the PLO, aimed to establish a framework for peace based on a two-state solution. These accords were seen as a beacon of hope, promising a new era of coexistence and mutual recognition. However, continued violence, settlement expansion, and political deadlock hampered the peace process. The optimism of the Oslo Accords gradually faded as both sides struggled to implement the agreements, leading to further disillusionment and cycles of violence. The early 2000s saw the eruption of the Second Intifada, a period marked by intense violence and significant casualties on both sides. This uprising further strained relations and underscored the deep divisions that remained unresolved. The ongoing conflict has left a profound impact on the lives of ordinary people, with generations growing up amidst uncertainty and fear. Despite numerous attempts at peace, the cycles of violence continue to shape the region's history and future. As the world watches, the hope for a lasting peace remains. Efforts from both international leaders and grassroots movements strive to break the cycles of violence and build a future where both Israelis and Palestinians can coexist peacefully. Section 5. Life under occupation, the Palestinian experience. For Palestinians, life under Israeli occupation has been marked by hardship, displacement, and a lack of basic freedoms. The expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, considered illegal under international law, has fragmented Palestinian land and restricted their movement. Checkpoints, roadblocks, and the separation barrier, while presented by Israel as security measures, have severely impacted Palestinian livelihoods, access to education, and healthcare. The Gaza Strip, controlled by Hamas since 2007, faces a dire humanitarian crisis due to an Israeli blockade and repeated military operations. The lack of economic opportunities, essential resources, and freedom of movement has left the population of Gaza in a state of perpetual uncertainty and despair. The Palestinian experience under occupation is one of dispossession, frustration, and a yearning for self-determination and a sovereign state of their own.